You know that specific kind of heartbreak? The one where you've spent weeks, maybe months, just obsessed with a project.
Oh, yeah.
You've handcrafted this perfect thing. Maybe it's a ceramic vase, a digital planner, whatever. You photograph it in perfect light, write a witty description, you upload it, you hit publish, and you wait for that
Yeah.
cha-ching
And
notification.
then cha-ching. Nothing. Silence.
Absolute deafening silence. It's like you just opened a luxury boutique in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
The crickets phase. It is, I think, the universal nightmare for anyone in the creator economy.
It is. And when that happens, the first thing we do is we blame the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's become this, boogeyman, right?
Mm-hmm.
This mysterious black box that just arbitrarily decides who gets to be a millionaire and who stays in the garage.
Mm-mm.
But today, we're going to stop treating it like magic,
And start treating it like what it actually is.
which is
Math. It's just complex math, but still it's just math.
exactly. And we've pulled together a massive stack of sources to crack this thing open.
We really did. We've got the official Etsy seller handbooks, the 2025 and 26 versions.
Yep. Plus the nitty-gritty from expert seller blogs, people like Cassie Smallwood, Dylan Tarouse.
And some deep dives from technical SEO forums like Tizit. And then there's that academic paper.
Oh, that paper was mind-blowing. The one on user needs-driven ranking. I think it might be the cheat code for new sellers.
It's fascinating because it tackles the biggest flaw in all e-commerce search engines, which is that cold start problem. But we'll get to that.
So the mission today is pretty simple. We're going to demystify how search engines, specifically Etsy's, decide who gets on page one and, honestly, how long you actually have to wait for it to happen.
Because there's a real tension at the core of it, isn't there?
A huge one.
It's this tug of war between business needs and user needs. The platform needs to make money, so it wants to show things that are guaranteed to sell.
But the user just wants to find that one specific weird thing they're looking for.
Right, and the algorithm is the negotiator stuck in the middle trying to keep everybody happy.
So let's go into the engine room then. How does this negotiator actually work? Because I think most people still assume it's just about keywords. I type blue mug, you show me blue mugs.
Yeah, that's kind of the old internet way of thinking. You have to distinguish between two totally different processes.
Which are?
Indexing and ranking.
Okay, break that down for us.
All right, think of Etsy like a massive library. Indexing is just the librarian taking your book, looking at the title, and filing it in the basement.
So if my title says blue mug, I get filed under blue mug.
Exactly. You are now indexable. You can technically be found.
But being in the basement isn't going to get me any sales.
Correct. That's where ranking comes in. Ranking is the librarian deciding which books to pull out of that basement and put on the display table right at the front entrance.
And how does it decide?
To do that, the algorithm gives every single item something called a listing quality score.
I saw that term all over the seller handbook, but it sounds like a credit score for your product.
That's a perfect analogy. And here's the kicker for new sellers. When you launch a new shop, or even just a new listing, that score is neutral. It's a blank slate.
The algorithm has no idea if my item is trash or treasure.
None at all.
So how do we build that credit score? What moves the needle?
It evolves based on engagement. You have to think of it like a funnel. First, do people even see it? Then, do they click it? Then, do they favorite it? And then finally, do they buy it?
But it all has to start with that first click.
It all starts with the click. If you show up in a search and nobody clicks, your score tanks. Fast.
Which brings us to what the sources called click drivers.
Yeah.
They were basically screaming about photos, but not just take good photos. They were really specific about what not to do.
The number one killer of your click-through rate is the collage.
Which is funny because you see people doing it all the time. They try to cram like 4 different angles of their product into that one main image.
It's a complete disaster, both for the algorithm and for the human eye. The Etsy handbook explicitly warns against it. Because on a mobile screen, a collage just looks like visual noise. You need a single, clear, high-resolution focal point. They say 2,000 pixels wide is the standard now.
You've got milliseconds to catch someone's eye.
Don't make them squint. Exactly.
And the other half of that click driver is the title. But again, the advice seems to have changed. It's not about just stuffing keywords in there anymore.
No, it's about scannability. On a phone, a buyer only sees the first few words of your title. So if your title is like, beautiful handcrafted gift for Mother's Day best friend blue ceramic mug, what does the user actually see?
They see beautiful handcrafted gift for, and then it just cuts off.
Right. They have no idea what you're selling. You've just wasted your most valuable real estate. You need long-tail keywords right at the front.
And long tail just means a more specific phrase.
Yeah, exactly. Something like dainty gold necklace or ceramic travel mug. Specificity sells. It targets a buyer who already knows what they want,
Which means they're more likely to click.
which boosts your quality score. It's all connected.
Okay, so we got the click, we've hooked them. Now we have to close the deal. The sources call these the conversion drivers. And there's one factor here that just seems to be a huge wall for buyers.
Oh, it's always shipping costs.
It's always shipping.
It is consistently in the top 10 reasons people abandon their cart. And the
Yeah.
algorithm knows this. It's not just that buyers hate high shipping.
The algorithm itself hates it.
Yes, it actively suppresses listings with high shipping costs because it knows those listings have a lower chance of converting into a sale.
So if I'm charging, say, $15 to ship a $20 item, I'm basically fighting the code.
You're fighting a losing battle. The advice is to bake the shipping cost into the item price if you have to, or at least keep U.S. shipping under $6.
There was one other conversion driver that really surprised me, the customer and market experience score. It said that having a return policy helps your ranking, even if that policy is no returns.
Isn't that interesting? It's not about being generous, it's about completeness. A shop that has a filled out about section, a bio, clear policies, it signals to the algorithm that this is a real legitimate business, not some fly-by-night scammer.
So it's about building trust with the machine.
The machine fears buyer dissatisfaction, so transparency, even if the answer is no, builds that trust.
All right, so we've optimized the machine. We have the clear photo, the long tail title, policies are up. We hit publish. Now comes the part that drives everyone crazy, the timeline.
The anxiety phase.
Is it working yet? I was reading through the Reddit threads on this, and the confusion is massive. You have people saying, oh, SEO updates in 15 minutes, and others saying you won't see real results for 90 days.
That's a huge gap.
So who's telling the truth?
Well, technically they both are. They're just talking about different parts of the machine.
I see.
The 15 minutes person is talking about indexing. If you change a keyword from mug to cup, the system updates that file in the library basement pretty fast.
So you become searchable for cup almost immediately.
Right, but searchable again doesn't mean seen. Then you get to the 1 to 2 day mark. That's when your new listing hits the personalization algorithm. Etsy customizes results based on a buyer's past behavior, and it takes about 24 to 48 hours for your item to get mixed into those tailored feeds.
Okay, and the 90 days.
That's the time it takes to build a statistically significant listing quality score. Tizit, the other SEO experts, they all basically agree the algorithm needs 30 to 90 days of data views, clicks, sales before it really knows where you belong in the food chain.
Man, that feels like an eternity when you're trying to pay rent.
It is, but there is a silver lining here. The sources talk about the new listing boost.
The honeymoon period.
Yes. For a short time, right after you launch, Etsy artificially boosts your visibility. They'll throw you onto page 1 or 2 just to see what happens.
They need that initial data to grade you.
This is your audition. If you have a bad photo or a confusing title during this boost, you fail the audition and you drop to page 50.
So the advice is, don't launch a work in progress. If you launch, you better be ready for your close-up.
Proceed.
Now, this leads to a really interesting clash in strategies we found. On one side, you have Cassie Smallwood. She's very realistic, very steady. She says a realistic timeline for your first sale is 2 to 3 months, and it often requires around 120 views just to get that single sale.
It's a sobering stat, but it sets the right expectation. It's a grind.
But then you have Dylan Girouse,
Yeah.
and her strategy is, well, it's intense. She says progress loves speed. She suggests launching 50 to 100 listings in the first 14 days.
The volume strategy.
Hold on, though. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about the average person listening. Maybe they make hand-knitted sweaters or custom pottery. 100 listings in 2 weeks. Is that even possible?
That's a fair critique.
Or is this advice just for people selling, like, print-on-demand t-shirts?
It's a totally fair point. If you're throwing clay on a wheel, you cannot make 100 items in a week. But you have to look at the logic behind her advice, even if the number itself is high. It's a data play. If you launch 1 item, you get 1 stream of data. If you launch 100 items, you're gathering data 100 times faster. You learn what keywords work and what photos get clicks 100 times faster.
So she's trying to brute force the learning phase.
Exactly. And for that, Potter, maybe you don't make 100 different vases, but you could list 1 vase with 10 different variations. or create listings for digital pottery guides. The goal is just to flood the shop with opportunities for the algorithm to test you.
I see. So it's about creating more hooks in the water,
Yeah.
even if you don't have 100 physical products.
Right. And she even suggests giving away samples or running steep discounts at first. You essentially buy your first reviews to get the flywheel spinning.
Which brings us to the biggest catch-22 in this whole industry, the cold start problem.
The classic dilemma.
You need sales to get a high ranking, but you need a high ranking to get sales. It feels like applying for an entry-level job that requires 5 years of experience.
It does. The algorithm relies so heavily on post-purchase data reviews, sales history, to predict future success. If you're new, you have none of that. You're invisible.
But this academic paper we found, the one on user needs-driven ranking, or UNDR, this feels like the solution. And I want to spend some time here because I think this is the secret weapon for our listeners.
It really is. The researchers basically propose flipping the model on its head. Instead of looking at post-purchase data like reviews, they say the algorithm should prioritize pre-purchase behavior, specifically facet selections.
Facet selections.
Yeah.
You mean the filters, the little check boxes on the sidebar.
Yes. Size, color, material, screen size. Most sellers treat those as optional fields. They get lazy about filling them out. But this UNDR paper suggests those are actually the most powerful signal for a new product.
Okay, walk us through an example. How does this help the new guy beat the veteran who has 10,000 sales?
Okay, so imagine you're selling a vintage velvet jacket. You have 0 sales, 0 reviews. Your competitor has 5,000 sales and a 5-star rating for their denim jackets.
Okay, I'm the underdog.
In the old model, the denim jacket wins every time because it's popular. But let's say a user comes in and filters for velvet and green.
Okay.
The UNDR model sees that filter interaction. It calculates a popularity weight based on the attribute, not the shop. If 40% of users are filtering for velvet and your item is tagged velvet, you get a massive ranking boost immediately.
Even if I've never sold one?
Yes. Because you are a perfect match for the specification the user requested, the algorithm prioritizes the specification match over the reputation match.
That is huge. That means I can win on specs even if I lose on popularity.
Exactly. The study showed that shops using this facet popularity ranking were perceived as meeting user needs significantly better than shops just sorting by highest ratings.
Because a 5-star rating on a denim jacket is useless to me if I need a velvet one.
Precisely.
So for the seller listening right now, what is the actionable advice here?
Fill out everything. If there is a field for sleeve length, material, occasions, style, fill it out. Do not skip it. By skipping those, you are opting out of the only game you can actually win on day one.
Align your item with what people are filtering for.
That is your shortcut through the cold start problem.
I love that.
Yeah.
It takes the power away from just the big guys
Mhm.
and gives it to the person who is just meticulous with their data.
It democratizes the search results.
Now, speaking of shortcuts, we have to talk about the one shortcut everyone tries to take when they get impatient. Ads.
Ah, the ads trap.
I feel like this is where people just burn money. They launch, they hear crickets, they'll panic, and they start pumping cash into Etsy ads.
But Sarah Wagner had a really blunt take on this.
She did. She said, ads don't create demand. They amplify what's already working.
That's a harsh reality check.
It is. But think about it. If your listing quality score is low because your photo is bad or your price is too high,
Showing that bad listing to 1,000 more people isn't going to make them buy it.
you're just paying for people to scroll past you faster.
Exactly. Her rule of thumb is fantastic. Don't turn on ads until you have a conversion rate of 1.5% to 3% organically.
So prove it works first, then add fuel to the fire.
Right. And if you do run ads, you have to watch the ROAS, your return on ad spend.
For those of us who aren't marketing majors, what are we looking for there?
Basically, for every dollar you put in, are you getting more than $1 back in profit? It's surprisingly easy to spend $20 to sell a $25 item.
And if your profit margin is only $5, you just broke even and did a lot of work for nothing.
For nothing.
Now, there's another type of ad mentioned in the source's off-site ads. These seem a bit safer for a beginner.
They are. Etsy places these ads on Google, Facebook, Instagram. The key difference is the fee structure. You pay a commission, usually 12 to 15%, but only if you make a sale.
Ah, so it's not pay-per-click, it's pay-per-sale.
Right. It's much lower risk. It cuts into your margin for sure, but you aren't just bleeding cash on empty views.
Before we wrap up, I want to look at the crystal ball. We have some notes on the 2025 and 2026 algorithm updates. The landscape is shifting again. What are the big headlines?
2 big things. video and semantic search.
We've heard about video for a while, but it seems like it's officially moved from a nice to have to mandatory.
It's a priority ranking factor now. The algorithm is actively pushing listings that have video content
Why is that?
because it keeps people on the platform longer. If you have a static image and your competitor has a 15-second clip showing the product in use, they're very likely going to outrank you.
And the second one, semantic search. That sounds very sci-fi. What does it actually mean?
It's actually very human. Think of the old search like a stubborn librarian who only looks for the exact words you say.
Okay.
If you asked for a jumper, but the book was titled Sweater, the librarian would say, "Sorry, I have nothing for you."
Frustrating.
Extremely. Semantic search is like a smart librarian who knows that jumper, sweater, and pullover are all basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It understands the intent behind your search.
So what does that mean for our titles?
It means that keyword stuffing is finally dying.
Thank goodness.
You know those titles that just look like a robot vomited a dictionary? Gift for her mom's sister, blue cup coffee tea?
I hate those. They look so spammy.
The AI hates them now too, because it understands meaning. You can write for humans again. You can write a natural title like hand-knit blue wool sweater for women, and the AI is smart enough to show that to someone searching for a warm winter jumper.
That is a relief. It feels like we're moving back to quality over just trying to game the system.
We are, slowly but surely.
So let's bring this all together. We started with this idea of the black box, and I feel like we've actually found the schematic diagram.
I think we have. It's a journey, right? You start in the engine room getting your technicals right with photos and long-tail keywords.
Then you enter the timeline, understanding that the 30 to 90-day learning phase is normal, not a failure.
And finally, you use the innovations like those facet strategies from the UNDR paper to cut through all the noise.
If there is one big takeaway for the listener today, the one thing they should write on a sticky note and put on their monitor, what is it?
It's that success isn't about waiting, it's about teaching. You are teaching the algorithm how to sell your product. Every photo, every attribute tag, every shipping policy is a lesson you are giving the machine. If you feed it bad data, it can't help you.
And patience. Don't panic at day 14.
Do not panic at day 14.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought to chew on. We talked about that UNDR paper, the idea that users might actually prefer rankings based on features over ratings.
It really challenges the whole social proof model that we've lived with for the last decade.
It does. We live in a world that is obsessed with 5-star reviews. But if the math shows that I care more about the specs than the stars, are we moving toward a future where social proof actually matters less than specification match?
And what would that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean for the small seller who makes an absolutely incredible product but just hates the marketing game?
It might mean the product finally gets to speak for itself again.
That's a nice thought to end on. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.